Peace to the guys. I don't know if y'all can hear my music, but what's happening? Due to Bluetooth complications, you cannot hear my music and me talk to you at the same time. What the hell is everybody? What is going on?
Greetings.
Greetings. Wait a second, what's going on?
Not so much, are you?
Man, I'm flowing.
Okay, I see you with your robe. I started wearing my robe, and I was like, no, I'm going to let Seven do his thing.
It's so chilly.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh,
Greetings.
good morning. What's going on?
What are we talking about today, y'all?
How you feeling?
Listen, I've had an amazing morning. Yeah, I did. Yeah. It's been beautiful. Yes, some magical things happening over here. Magical things. Hi, Mr. Imperial. You miss me?
Hey.
You love me still?
Of course.
Oh, there he is. Hey, boo. You back?
I never left.
I don't know. It's feeling kind of icy in these streets. I don't know, boo, but
it's mighty cold out here.
Oh,
it is mighty cold.
It is.
Hence why I'm so, bundled up.
Okay, you got a little cold. You had to bundle yourself up.
But
okay.
I'm very warm.
Okay. We love it. Listen, you guys. We're gonna be talking about the same thing that we always talk about, from boss bitch to being a goddess, and this is a concept that actually, when we all like on a call one day talking about it, and Seven said that was something that we kind of needed to flow over into, and then this concept developed. But listen, we are taking this concept all over the world. Listen, seriously though, y'all, I've seen it in the fucking vision. I've seen it in a vision. A man calls me from this show. He said, listen, are you the psychic lady? I didn't even know that I was presenting as psychic, but I'm going to go ahead and, since people were seeing me that way, I'm going to go ahead and speak some life into people, because that's what I do. So Seven came up with this concept, and we're going to take over the world with it. I'm decreeing that shit right now. Are y'all in agreement with me?
Absolutely.
I agree. I should.
Because this is the only thing. Visions like this, these are the things that keep families together. You got to find something that's big enough to make people get over their fights. This is why the vision has to be big, because that's the only thing that's going to keep people coming back when they're sick of your shit. Right? And all the people on this call, we got lots of shit. But then we also have lots of love. We do. So let's talk about that. Mr. Imperial, I would love for you to lead, because I'm giving homage today.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
In my leading, I would love to direct to Miss Sunshine. What was just about to come out that beautiful pipe of yours? What you have to give?
I was actually just going to say, elaborate on what you were saying, Adisa, about the difference between surrounding yourself with people who are committed to you and then surrounding yourself with people who are committed to a vision, right? Because a boss bitch has people around her that are committed to her and making sure that she has the things that she needs and following her directives. And, all of the people kind of like cater to her, right? But a goddess has people around her who are committed to her vision, who are committed to making the things that she sees in her mind's eye come to fruition, because they have similar dreams and goals, and they see themselves within her vision. So their commitment, therefore, isn't to her, but to themselves and to the part that they play in the vision that they share with one another. So I think that's an important distinction between like a boss bitch and a goddess that all of us can really benefit from understanding and then implementing in our own lives. Because in a family, there's always going to be fights and conflicts and arguments, and people aren't always going to see eye to eye. There's going to be offense, right? Because somebody's going to say some shit or do some shit that you don't like. But when you have a common goal, it's easier for you all to come back together and be like, you know what? Fuck that nigga, but let's get to this shit.
You know what, Sunshine? Not trying to be funny, but having these kind of relationships, this is the only way that marriages will ever work. There is no other way. Marriages break because we marry for passion instead of purpose. When you marry for passion, as soon as that person evolves, changes, or does anything different than who they were when they met you, then it becomes a problem, you know? And that's how I know that a man has married a boss bitch or a damsel and not a goddess. Because she's gonna allow him no space to grow. Because him growing also means that he has to change. And if he changes too much, guess what he's gonna have to do? He's gonna have to leave her. And she can't have that. So she's gonna keep him kind of like stored in that little box, But here's the thing with men that have that God gene in them. When men have that God gene, it don't matter how much they love, the growth in them ain't gonna be able to stop because the God in them ain't gonna stop. They are always going to be called to women that choose purpose over passion. That's the end. Now, see, that's not the beginning, but that has to be the end. So kings, they think purpose, and there's no way you're gonna be able to get rid of that. So if a man is thinking king, ladies, we got some good news for you because I know how to help you understand kings. I really do. I was raised by one. They hot maintenance, but they worth it. They worth it. And I feel like I'm at peace. I'm done for right now.
For sure. I would like to express a love and admiration for both ends of this spectrum, right? The boss bitch, she is a wonderful force to be reckoned with. She can lead and survive through certain circumstances with a limited amount of understanding and knowledge. And that is amazing because it's a rarity, right? It's as much as we view the level that we're at as something to evolve from, I think it does benefit us to be able to still clearly see where we are and where we came from. And the boss bitch is a wonderful thing to be had, right? Like she is able to provide and navigate in ways that are initially foreign to her. Her rate of adaptability is at a godlike rate. She's still operating with a limited amount of understanding, but her power is nothing to overlook, right? But when we speak on the presence of a goddess, there is a certain amount of submission that takes place universally, both within the goddess and outside of her, right? She submits to her greater version, her greater purpose, her greater vision. And in doing so, everything else around her does the same. They submit to what they see in her and they submit to her lead in, the area that she designates for herself. And I don't want to present this narrative as though one is more desired than the other, because I think the beauty is very subjective, right? Depending on where you are, what you may need is one or the other, or neither, right? Depending on where exactly you are on your path. But if you find yourself struggling with one of the two, or you find yourself having a desire that is not aligned with where you presently are, I think this conversation is very, very healthy, because it will help you to look within and around and designate and define things. I think that is something that, as we all evolve, destroying and recreating these boundaries as we go along can become quite tricky, right? Like what you may have healed from or dealt with in one sense may hit you differently in another sense, right? And you will have to navigate yourself so that what you communicate to the things that you're building and the people that you're connecting with, the message is always aligned with the truth that you carry, right? So, man, I think there are struggles and benefits with both sides, but I do think neither should be deprived of the empathy, grace, and love. But there is definitely work to be done if you plan on transitioning from one stage to the next.
That's good. As you were speaking that, Seven, one of the things that I've had to learn in my transitions is never throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what I mean by that is sometimes we're so ashamed of our past that we just want to hide it and run from it and act like it doesn't exist. But there are people that are assigned to you that need that version of you. And you're trying to give them this version of you. So you end up eliminating so many people that you're actually assigned to help. And in my quest to get out of boss bitch stage, because I've been told so much by men, you're too masculine, you're too masculine, you're too masculine. So I evolved out of that. And that goddess stage, it requires an uncovering. It requires a softness. That's what it requires. And what man would not want the goddess stage? That's what they want, right? But in order to get that, because a goddess surrenders. She surrenders. That's what she does. Because she don't have to submit. She's a god. She don't have to submit. She surrenders because it's a choice. But a goddess is wise. And she only surrenders when she knows that there is no fear of her being harmed. So a goddess has to learn that the man that approaches her has to know how she moves and how she is, so he will not come in after she has unleashed her armor and hurt her. Because if he does, she's going to swing back, and women multiply. But how much more do you think a goddess will multiply? And she's going to give you a death blow. Maybe not all the way because she loves, but that is what a goddess does. So one of the things when we go from boss bitch to goddess, you have to also grow up in wisdom and understand that all men might want the goddess, but if they haven't paid the cost to get access to that submission and surrender and disciplining themselves to know you well enough to say, hey, this is who she is, and I better not step this, and this, and this. In fact, Seven, you have a song. I love it. Sunshine, you need to get that song on one of our announcements. That song is so awesome. And you state something. You say something to the effect of, if you keep bothering me, these scars that this trauma has put in me will come back out and do something to you. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what song? You're sitting on the grass. You were talking about the beauty in your scars and how your scars protect you.
I say, I can't let go of my traumas completely. They protect me from being something. I'm honest. Something along those lines. I'm trying to remember, but yeah.
Yes. He was saying that he couldn't let go of those scars because they protect him. It's the same thing with boss bitch and goddess. It really is. Like when you become boss bitch, is you pick up a lot of scars and a lot of trauma, because on your way to the top in a masculine dominated society, you're going to have to put on a tough coat of skin. You really, really are. So a goddess is saying, don't forget, she still has boss bitch in her. When we get to goddess level, it's like we are every woman that we choose to be. So we need to go back into boss bitch, or if we need to go back into mother, if we need to go back into lover, we know how to navigate all those different areas, right? But we haven't forgotten that those scars also protect us. We also haven't forgotten that. So ladies, you need to understand that, listen, if you're going to be a goddess, you also have to be wise enough not to allow men in your garden that haven't learned you enough to not hurt you. Because armor is not meant for the bedroom or the garden. Trust has to be there. And sometimes you got to slow down so that trust can be earned.
I agree, 100%.
Yes.
Sure. Something you said made me wonder about something. So within yourself, you were saying that, at some points it's appropriate for a man to partner himself with a boss bitch, and at other points it's appropriate for him to pair himself with a goddess. What does a man need to look for within himself in order to make those determinations from your perspective?
That's for, who's that for? Is that for Seven?
Both of you.
Okay.
Trying to understand the question, because you said, I'm like, what did you say? I said that.
So you were saying that there's
a man is kind of coming into contact with one of these two archetypes. How should he kind of designate for himself, like, right, which way he should go, in a sense. I feel like to keep it simple and concise, if physical reality is your priority, then a boss bitch might be the way for you. And when I say physical reality, I mean anything tangible. Anything tangible. If the tangible path is the one you see yourself on, if tangible rewards are, what you prioritize, and this takes being honest with oneself, then, a boss bitch can help you to attain all in that sense, for sure. If the intangible, if you're at a place in your path where the intangible portions of you are beginning to prioritize over all, right, then a goddess will need to be what you seek. Because regardless of where you arrive on your own, you will need her in order to uncover certain portions of this truth that you will start to seek once those intangible desires start to set in.
I know this ain't Family Feud, but good answer. Good answer.
That was a great answer. God, I don't know. Like, I feel like I can't come behind that. That's complete. Like, seriously, that's normally I got something extra to say, but now that is complete. Do you mind rewording the question so I can answer it? Because I can't answer that one. He did that one.
Yeah. What does a man need to evaluate within himself to determine whether or not he should be in pursuit to partner with a bad bitch versus a goddess? Like, what characteristics go, best with each? Because I think, like, a lot of our audience is, discovering themselves feeling way. I mean, all of us at some level are discovering ourselves because we wake up a new person every day. If you're doing it right, you're evolving all the time, and you're in constant self-discovery. So when you're taking those assessments of yourself to say, okay, who should I partner with at this point? What should a man be looking for within himself to choose which direction to go in?
Well, what I tell my men clients, first I have to get them to determine who they really are, to really, really get them to see themselves. And some men are men of the moon. And when I say a man of the moon, I mean a man that is really in contact with his emotions. His emotions influence him a lot. And sometimes they might influence him so much that he shut them completely down. But he is a man that has big heart, right? If he's that kind of man, he has to deal with a goddess. He just does. Okay? Because he's a man that follows his heart. And his heart is always supposed to lead him back to God. However, if he is a man of purpose, there's something he's supposed to do in this 3D realm. There's a vision, like a tangible something that he needs for his ego. He needs it for his ego, right? And when I say ego, I'm not saying ego in a black or white scenario where ego is bad. It is a mask, and we all have to wear a mask. But what is your avatar doing here? And men can make their avatars be arrogant, or they can really make their avatars be men of vision. It just depends, right? So if he's saying there is something I'm supposed to do and I need the energy from a woman that's going to help me pull off this mask or pull off this beard, then she has to fit a certain image as well. That means she has to look the part. She has to act the part. She has to dress the part, because we are in this to play a part. And if that's where he is, then he needs to get that. But a man that is in tune with his heart always gets you back to God. He has to determine for himself which kind of man he's going to be. He has to really determine what stage of his life that he's in. And if he is purpose and trying to have a woman at home that's full of heart, she probably might end up murdering herself, because that is the worst pain ever. Okay? So does that make sense, what I just said, Sunshine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think, like, like Seven was saying about, like, not prioritizing one over the other, or making one seem to be on, well, one is here and one is here. I think that there are, pros and cons to each, right? And so, like, even with dealing with a woman who is in goddess consciousness, there are some things that a man who is more ego conscious may see as drawbacks, to being with a goddess. I was looking at a post that you posted a few days ago about, and I don't know if you posted it only in the group or privately, so I won't go into detail.
It doesn't matter. You can say it.
About the tendency of a goddess to have multiple men in her life who feed her vision. And there's a certain level of confidence and self-assuredness that a man has to have in order to navigate a partnership with that type of woman, because the society that we live in, that feeds our ego consciousness, says that there's a one dick policy. Like, you can only need one man. I mean, we're starting to be a little bit more open-minded to the idea of polygamy, right? Or polygyny, where you can have multiple wives, but the idea of having multiple husbands is just very offensive and outrageous as far as the broader society is concerned. But even if there's not a romantic connection, you have to be in a space where you're okay with your woman, your partner, having multiple people that she is energetically connected to in order to get to where she's going.
Would you like me to start with that, or you 7? You go ahead, 7. It's on 7, so go. It's your.
I think that. I don't know. I definitely agree, 100%. Talks like this make me want to travel, because we use references from the outside looking in on so much. We've only experienced so much. And man, the more I travel, I'm just man, this shit is humongous. A lot of it not what we think it is, so but as far as from the perspective that I'm allowed from my own experiences, I definitely agree. I think that the male ego, I wouldn't even say, definitely the male for sure, but ego exists in all forms. And I think that the masculine ego has been, it was a low battery notification. The masculine ego has been so overtly celebrated and praised, for its lowest tendencies for a very, very, very long time. Right, it's been not centuries, millennia. It's been millennia of an overpraising, an over acceptance of the bullshit that the masculine ego has to offer, right? And I think that in the feminine egos finally having her say so in a lot of senses, right? The response is only right. Motherfuckers can't handle that shit. What? They've been getting they micro dicks jacked off for for millennia. And when I say a micro dick, it's you provide nothing, you understand nothing, you don't know how to water, have patience. So when you describe dick size in the content of character, right? That shit has been overtly celebrated for so long. So I don't disagree with I don't disagree with nothing she said, but I understand why these niggas is so butthurt out here. It makes perfect sense. I get it, bro. But I think that I'm really looking forward to watching us evolve as a whole and being able to allow each other to exist and flow how we are meant to. Because during the sparse occasions that I've experienced such, it was glorious for sure. So, yeah.
Okay. To answer that question, Sunshine, could you repeat it again, honey?
I was really the question was just talking about like some of what people will perceive as drawbacks to goddess energy, especially if we're talking about someone who's more in the ego consciousness line and may not be aligned with that goddess energy. And one of the drawbacks that I identified that could be perceived as a drawback, I should say, was the fact that there will be other men in her life who play very instrumental roles. And I don't know if you're ready to use the term brother husband, but that's exactly what it is, you know?
I'm about to use it. I'm ready to use it. I'm definitely ready to use it. Yes. Okay. In my personal experience, I've always enjoyed family. And what you have to understand about family is there's always going to be some bullshit in family. It just goes with the territory. There's just always going to be some bullshit with family. There is no reason anybody would even sign up to be in a family unless there weren't some huge things that they can give that nobody else can, right? So I've always wanted a big family. But to be honest, my happiest in my relationships has been when, I'm going to go ahead and say this. My happiest has been when I have been allowed to cast the burdens of my man off on other women. For me, when you are a boss bitch and you got goals and you got dreams and a man is actually needing a mother and he needs you to, run behind him, check up on him, and like treat him like he's your 9-year-old, that takes a lot of energy. Lots of energy. And then you're trying to do that to your actual children, and then you might have employees at work, because remember, you're a boss bitch, right? You got employees at work, they might need that shit too. And then you go to work, and then you got to come home and mother him too. You mothering the children, you're mothering the people at work. What that created in me was polygyny. The reason why I signed up for polygyny was not because I wanted to share the man I love, but because I needed to share all the fucking responsibilities that he put on me. So I went and I found women that would love him, because I'm a one-woman man. That's why I love one man. I want to fuck only one man. But it was too much in their ego. So instead of being like some boss bitches be like, I'm just going to turn lesbian, I just can't turn lesbian because I like penis. So I tried it. It did not work. Okay. So I was like, okay, let me go find some sister wives, because I love you, but I don't want to deal with all that stuff that you dealing with, right? So then I had to understand that boss bitch was attracting that energy. I needed to serve his ego if I was going to be in that energy. So I decided I needed to transform out, right? Because one of the drawbacks of dating a boss bitch is she ain't gonna have all that energy to cater to your ego. And then she's gonna hear you not acting like a woman. Well, I couldn't be a boss bitch and be full woman, right? So that's definitely a drawback. But then again, a drawback to a goddess is she rare. She rare. She has the ability to shift a man to his own God consciousness and keep his wandering eye out of the lust of the world and put his eye on what it's supposed to be, which is his vision, his heart-centered vision. You see, a goddess has the ability to circumcise the uncircumcised Philistine. In the scripture, it talks about bulls being circumcised. You see, a man's heart is the same way. As long as he's full of bullshit, his eye is going to be forever chasing his ego. Forever chasing who's the baddest bitch, what new pussy can I fuck, how much money can I make, who can I talk about on Instagram. It's full of that kind of stuff. But when he gets in front of a goddess, she going to call all of that shit out. And some men can't handle that kind of fire. And that's a drawback. That's a drawback as well. So it's like, choose your poison, because either which way you're going to have something. Choose your poison. Now, what I like is I like something called divine unions. I do. Because Sometimes I don't always want to be goddess. Sometimes I want to be boss bitch. And sometimes I want to be damsel. Remember, I got feminine energy too. And I'm a changeling. So for me, like, that's why I call for the king. Because the king is the only man that can handle a woman being desired by every man that she encounters, because she is 100% goddess. And she is 100% bad bitch. He is secure enough in himself to say, I'm a boss in the streets and I'll beast in the bed. She ain't gonna find nobody like me. That's a king. Boss in the streets and beast in the goddamn bed. And he's charming like a little boy. So that's what it is. Did I answer your question, Sunshine?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are we complete, guys?
Yeah, I feel it.
It feels complete. Sunshine, I wanted to ask you, in your path of, discovering these parts of yourself, what would you offer to women in the audience, right? That might be struggling or figuring out the next step of their path, right? Like some might be damsels, some might be mothers, some might be upcoming boss bitch, some might be newly found boss bitch, and in the same respective states in their goddesshood. So what encouraging words, or even just they don't gotta be encouraging, even though I'm sure it will be coming from you. But what words do you have to offer, to women that are on this path and seeking seeking some advice or some words?
I think anyone who is on a path of evolution and growth and that really desires to be able to transform from one state of being to another definitely needs to study and understand grief and what the grieving process looks like.
Damn.
And to develop like a appreciation for what the world has taught us is loss. Right? And working on things like detachment. Because when you're changing, that means that things have to fall off, Yeah. But just understanding that when something is removed, not only has that thing been removed, but there has also been, by the removal of that thing, a creation of space for something new.
Yeah.
And so being able to simultaneously deal with the emotions associated with losing whatever it is that may have been removed, and also showing appreciation for this new space that you have and deciding what you want to fill that space or create within that space, or if you want to just expand something else that you have into the space, and trying to find the balance between that and not getting caught up in the what we would sometimes label as negative emotion of what we may have lost or what we are not experiencing anymore. Just really study the phases of grief, understand like the different changes that you're going to go through, and just bring some like self-awareness to the fact that you are grieving, because sometimes we get overly excited about that new space and we don't actually even deal with the emotions that we lost something, that something has transformed into a new form of energy, and we're feeling a way about that. We just ignore that, suppress it, and I'm gonna just feel this new thing. But it's important that we go through those stages of grief, because those feelings and emotions don't go away. They just get buried, and then you have to uncover them and try to trace them more work. So that would be what I would have to offer. Is just like get comfortable with grief. I think a lot of times when we say something like grief, we assume that it has to be uncomfortable. But if it's something that we are expecting, something that we embrace as a part of the human experience, it doesn't have to be uncomfortable. We can get comfortable with it and start to embrace it and really use it to our advantage once we understand what that looks like for us, what our stages look like, and just like giving space for that.
I don't got nothing. Yeah. Damn. You got to run with that one. I'm running with that one. You have sparked something completely new for me, like, for sure. Like, man, something called me to, godly, can't go wrong with Jesus. There ain't even nothing in here. I just got to sip something. Damn, girl. Oh, man. Wow. Thank you for that. That
was beautiful, Sunshine.
All right, so I guess we're feeling complete. I appreciate that invitation. I love both of you. I'm super grateful for this space that the two of you create in these conversations. And the questions that I ask are not questions that you can ask just anybody that you pass in the street. So I just thank the two of you for being prepared and being connected, and having such a strong, beautiful connection to source to be able to tap into your intuition with no preparation, and say things and give to people what can really help us all to grow and evolve. So I love both of you very much. I love everyone who's listening. We are super duper grateful that you guys keep tapping into this with us. You know that we meet on Zoom virtually, right? On Monday evenings and on Wednesday evenings. And if you ever want to drop into any of the courses, you haven't attended any of the classes yet, you are welcome to do so. You can reach out to me via inbox. Let me know you want to go to ticket.